Well, first of all, not a single viewer was misled by Chris Cuomo. I challenge any viewer with an IQ over 20 to say that he thought Chris Cuomo was going to be objective in reporting on Andrew Cuomo. It was like expecting Bobby Kennedy to be objective as Attorney General of the United States to John Kennedy. Nobody was misled. Everybody knew that he was helping him. And if he had said he was not helping him, nobody would have believed it. So nobody was misled. On the other hand, with Don Lemon, everybody was misled. The other day, he's on television, and he's talking about his good friend Smollett. He doesn't say to anybody, he's my friend. He doesn't say that he helped him obstruct justice, that he helped him keep the phone from the authorities, and he proceeds to make a news report. They were misled. Or I'm now suing CNN because they doctored a tape of me when I was defending the president on the floor of the Senate. That was misleading. Can I they say the opposite of what I said? But Cuomo didn't mislead anybody.
Okay, but I want to get back to what Lindsay was asking, because I think this is fascinating. Regardless of what you think about Chris Cuomo, here's my question. He is texting back and forth between his brother and his brother's staff. They do this investigation on Cuomo, the governor, and Chris Cuomo's texts come out. Did he have any right of privacy because he wasn't the target of that investigation?
Well, you can subpoena texts, and the courts have to decide that. The better practice would have been to go to a court and see whether or not there was a right of privacy. But I don't think that's Chris Cuomo's biggest issue. I think his biggest issue is the double standard, that the person who should be fired is Jeff Zucker. Jeff Zucker has destroyed that network, turned it into an advocacy network, turned it into a network where friends get favors and enemies get attacked. He's been a disgraceful.
So does it matter? So, Professor, does it matter whether or not that Cuomo's saying, hey, I want my $18 million for his salary, which, by the way, holy smokes, $18 million for that? Whatever. That's a whole separate. Right? That's a separate segment. But here's my question. His claim, at least according to what we're reading, is that, hey, Jeff Zucker, my boss, knew what I was doing. Does that matter? Should he be like, hey, my contract says that I didn't do anything that bad, or is it that you knew and therefore I still get the money? I don't really understand why whether Zucker knew is really, matters.
Well, it matters greatly because if Zucker not only knew but encouraged it. Remember, Zucker was trying to get the ratings up of the 9 o'clock show. They were plummeting. And so he put on the love fest between Chris and Andrew. They loved it. It raised the ratings. So not only did Zucker know, he encouraged it. So there's no way in which Chris Cuomo misled CNN. CNN was responsible for the decision to keep him on the air. If they thought that the viewers would be misled, they should have said, look, you're going to be off the air during the time of the investigation. It was Zucker's decision to make, not Cuomo's decision. And so, of course, it's a completely airtight defense, I think, for Cuomo. I think he's going to get his $18 million, and I bless him for going forward and trying to hold CNN responsible for malpractice in reporting, breaking contracts, and applying a double standard. I hope that Chris wins, and I hope that Zucker gets fired. He ought to get fired. He is the one who caused this problem. But I don't think at the bottom there was a problem. I don't think anybody was led. I would love any of your viewers to write me an email or write you an email saying, oh, gee, we really thought Chris Cuomo was a completely objective reporter when it came to Andrew Cuomo, and we were shocked. Gambling in Casablanca, oh my God, we are shocked. Nobody was shocked.
Well, we definitely weren't shocked. Let me ask you this, Professor. What do you think Cuomo's strongest defense is? Because, Sean and I were talking about this. Almost every contract has a morality clause. So if he did this in his personal capacity, it was legal. So at what point can he claim as well, this was separate from my work? I didn't lead anyone on.
Well, first of all, it was separate. Second of all, morality clauses are vague and general and have to be applied fairly. But third, the most important thing is he didn't keep things from CNN. CNN knew everything. They may have not known a detail here and there, but that's not enough to fire somebody. So I think he's going to win the contract lawsuit. And look, CNN is probably going to settle. They've had to settle over and over again. They had to settle with that poor kid from Covington High who they called a racist without any basis at all, hopefully that guy is celebrating with at least some money. CNN is either going to go off the air because nobody's going to watch them because they don't have any trust or faith, or they're going to be sued so much by me and by Cuomo and by others that they're not going to have the resources. And I would hope that the heads of CNN would get smart, fire Zucker, and go back to being an objective network. They have some very good people. Wolf Blitzer is very good and very fair. But there are other people, and particularly people at the top like Zucker, who aren't. You can't pass the buck when you're Zucker. You can't say it's somebody else's fault. And he did pass the buck in order to make a buck. And that was his responsibility.
Well, it'll be interesting to see
Wolf guy.
how this all plays out, if Don Lemon gets fired, if Zucker gets fired, and if Chris Cuomo wins this case. According to you, it sounds like he has a pretty easy argument there. Professor, always appreciate your time. Thanks for being here with us this evening.
Thank you.
All right, and you make sure to check out Alan Dershowitz's new book, The Case for Vaccine Mandates.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing cable news channel, now in more than 70 million homes. You can get Newsmax TV on your cable system or check your cable guide. And if your system doesn't carry Newsmax, call them, tell them you want Newsmax TV, because we're real news for real people.